Hey, welcome to Everybody Wants to Listen to My podcast. This is our 100th stream. This is our 100th episode. Yeah, fun stuff. Fun in the sun. Okay, make sure I got lights turned on. Hi, everybody. How are you today? And yeah, it's fun. We did last year. I did over the course of the whole year. I think I did 80 streams for Nobody Wants to Listen to My podcast. And this year we're at 100 already, so it's not bad. That's not half bad. So last year was Nobody Wants to Listen to. This year is Everybody Wants to Listen to. Who knows what next year will be? But what it will be is fun. Yeah. So yeah, 100 streams. So this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate everybody jumping in and having some time with us. This has been pretty cool. Frankly's already stopped in to say hey, and this is exciting news, everybody. Right here, I'm about to start working on a mini comic I had roughed out a while ago, and I'm going to make that happen. That is awesome. That's awesome news, frankly. I'm really happy to hear that, sir. That is something to look forward to. Last night, Gary Hodges was on the Artcasters. I don't know if people got a chance to see it. Gary visited us the other day on the stream here, hung out. Super cool. Gary's new books, super cool. DVSM, look them up. Really looking forward to them arriving in the mail today or tomorrow, because that's what it says on the thing it's going to do. I'm very excited. I'm going to show everybody when they do come in. So, but I don't want to spoil too much, because they're the kind of book that you really want to just sit down and read and engage in yourself. Okay, today's page. It is Friday. Yesterday, I thought it was Friday. So, I probably was a little confusing. I also had Corbin here with me, so that was exciting and fun. But Friday. So today's page is a suggestion, coincidentally, from Salazar Art Nation, Frankly Mapleton. And it was Bob's Around the World. Little Bob's Around the World. So we took that, and it gives a sort of a suggestion like that leaves a lot of license. So I have the crazy King Bob, who tells his people to go out in the world and go off to do what they knew best, which is line dancing, littering trinkets around, scolding with care. They would never give up. If you get that reference, you're my best friend. They're made for fun, bubbly, giggly fun. So that was the page I posted for today. Yesterday's was Dance Fight. It's kind of a theme this week. Wednesday was The Boxer. Tuesday was a reference. This is the DVSM reference for Gary's visit on the program. And Kerfuffle was the page for Monday. So, trying different things out each time. Different approaches to telling stories. Different stylistic approaches. You can see the consistency in there. It's not that different, but just trying a number of different things, having it go. The original page for this one is this. So I drew it all in mixed media on a piece of paper, had lots of fun, did very little modulation in the robot, so which is always cool. Frankly, is there? Oh, Philip Chandler. Philip Chandler has just said he's at Anime North. Have fun. That sounds like some fun in the sun, Philip. Awesome and cool. I hope you're having a good time there. There's going to be a lot of people in costumes. They're just normal people that are dressed up. There's been a lot of things about anime conventions and real monsters amongst them, but those aren't giant animals that are talking and walking around on 2 feet. Those are people dressed up as animals. So don't be afraid. You get some crazy costumes at anime conventions. You get people. There's all kinds of really elaborate get-ups. at comic conventions in general, but at anime ones, it's like no holds barred. So have fun there. So that's our Monday to Friday for our pages this week. So the 5 that we've posted so far. I'm going to work on today's page and post that on the robot, and then I'm off to Toronto next week. So I'm gonna stop in and visit a few times over the course of the week. Monday and Tuesday I'm here like normal, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday I'll do bits, short bits there. They won't be, I don't know how many, that they'll be hours long, but I will check in and talk about what I'm doing in Toronto. Like I'm going to go to an art supply store and get a bunch of stuff, and I'll show you that. I'm going to go and check out some of the city streets and take some shots of that, and talk about process of creating an environments. A couple of just different thoughts that I've got on the opportunities and the avenues that when you spend a life in one environment or one city or one setup, and then you go to another one, like say London's a small city. London's downtown is insane right now. It's just pure construction, and it's a maze to get from one side to the other because there's no rhyme or reason about what streets are shut down. They're doing their best. But there's 5 high-rises going up in a downtown block that is 4 blocks square, 6 blocks square. And that's mental. That's so let's say 8-10 blocks square in total. There's about 5 high-rises going down at the same time. That's a lot of shutdowns here and there and restructuring of all the city services. And so London is developing a downtown like big city downtowns. But in the meantime, chaos. So I'm going to Toronto, and Toronto is nonstop big buildings. And so I want to take some shots of that. And I'll talk from my hotel room and say, here's what it's like, the different viewpoint from here, and how that can inspire us and instigate different kinds of creativity. So, I'm sorry, I'm missing some stuff. Philip says some of the costumes at Anime North are amazing. They spend a year working on them to enter them in the masquerade costume contest. That's bonkers. A whole year on the costume, but they're elaborate, right? I got a split. Ouch! Have a great stream. Posting updates later. Keen. And then Mr. Jim Luan says 100. Wow. Congratulations. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Philip. So Monday and Tuesday, same stream as always, 2:00. Let's do a 1-page comic. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, will be different things. I will still be doing 1-pages while I'm there. I'm going to keep my quota going for sharing a page a day. It's important that for my own momentum that I keep consistency going for myself. At the same time as I do these 1-pages, though, I am working on other stuff. And so with the challenges and upheaval of going to a different place and having to figure out a little mini setup wherever I am, we'll see how that affects productivity. Okay. So, but I'm going to try to have some extra pages in advance to post, because I don't just produce 1 page a day. I'm not saying it to be that guy, but I produce more than that. So, so I've got a few extra things that I can share. So it's not like I'm going to miss a mark. I just might not be able to figure out how to stick a new one up on the screen each day. That I have to work out, because I don't have a laptop or a pad thing. I do everything on an old school PC and on paper in front of you. So I'm going to pack up a little tickle trunk of Mark Making Media and take it with me. But my time there is going to be very nice and spent with with my partner, and we're looking forward to seeing Toronto and going to do some stuff. So we'll see what kind of time I'm afforded. But I'll try to share some stuff and do a pop in each day. And I'll post times as best I can. So in the interim, this is page 127. And then for our one pages. Now, I say that, but we've got 13 additional pages because of sometimes the one pages extend larger, right? So, we're at 140. And which I think I have to figure out, because maybe I should stop calling the ones that produce the additional 13 pages. I should stop calling those one-page comics. I should cut my number down, which I might do. So, all right. Yeah, because let's take back 6. So we've 121. Let's just do that. But it's been a lot of fun. I'm not saying that to be like, hey, look at all the things. I'm saying that in the sense of, I hope that somebody who hears that takes that as, you can do it. All right? Because, there's limitless amounts of potential for expression and creativity. It's just the affordance of opportunity to do so. So, which sounds kind of, I realize that sounds kind of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, sort of open-ended or sort of airy. You can do it. There's a magic of splendor and wonder out there. But truth be told, you have the facility to create and to express yourself in somewhat measure or form. And how you choose to do that, do it. Don't hold yourself back. Don't tear yourself down. If you get the chance to do something, explore that for yourself. I'm looking for the book. Where is the book? Find the book. Okay. Oh, that's my wife. She's awesome. Coffee time. We're doing coffee now. Excellent. Just 1 second. There we go. Bing, bong, bing. All right. So I am listening to, for today, I've got the Gorillaz on. And the album is called Plastic Beach. It's a nice album. It's that they've done. It's kind of fairly calm and cool and just a nice sort of, when you're listening, I don't know about other people. Some people want to listen to crazy heavy metal. Some people want to listen to hardcore rap. Whatever it is that you listen to when you're working. I tend to kind of have a diverse amount, but I realize there's a tonality in the music that I like, and this one hits that mark. So, okay, so I'm looking through the book and seeing what we got. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm missing stuff still. Question of the day 100. Kowinky Dink. What are some other things you wish you had 100 of? Beans. No, wait. Hot dogs. Yeah, no. What do I wish I had 100 of? I don't know. What do I wish I had 100 of? Do we want anybody that's going to answer this? And I hope that anybody is that might be watching the stream, whether it's while we're doing this in camera or after, please answer. Please feel free to answer. There's no right or wrong answers here. There's no, what do you wish you had 100 of? It's a fun question, Jim. Thank you. What do you wish you had 100 of, Jim? I plan on maybe on some level doing it. Yeah, I'd like 100 of those too. Just such a clammy way to let a person share, and then you just, yeah, me too. No, I want what that guy wants. No, he's right. That one over there is right. I want that. So I got the pencil crayons out. We're drawing in pencil crayon today. I'm very excited. We're just drawing in pencil crayon. So I'm just trying to pick a subject here, going back and making sure I'm trying to catch up with everything still. I'm not too far off from doing so. Yeah, I don't know. Today we did Little Bobs Around the World. We've already done Boy Bands in Space. Fishes and Whales we've done. One Panel, One Image, One Word we've done. Cats Doing Karate While on Suicide Sauce. That was my niece that gave that. Jim Luan says, I wish I had 100 vacation days, perhaps. 100 vacation days. Is that paid vacation days? It's an important distinction. You can have 100 days off. You can have 356 days off, but it's going to change your lifestyle drastically unless you've got accommodation. And that's the tricky part, right? That's the sticky tricky. See, I don't want to do in a 500 years science page because I'm drawing on pencil crayon today, and I'm trying to keep those in a consistent way. That's a 500. That's a 500. So, yeah, I've got Sushi, Submarine, and Lemur is a 3-panel or 3-word suggestion that came from Dee Dee, and a prompt, a sentence prompt about holidays. Haunted Dollhouse. We discovered it. There we go. Haunted Dollhouse. All right. So I'll write it on a Post-it. All right. So today's page is Haunted Dollhouse. Whee! Yeah, that's fun. That's the kind of thing that's like, that's an open-ended thing that sort of leaves you with some opportunity. Jim says he wishes that he had 100 more hugs to give me. Jim. Yeah, I'm down. I like hugs. Everybody likes hugs. It's like, by the way, I'll just let you know now, Jim, it would be probably not very, very dissimilar from being, mauled by a bear. I don't know. I'm a large person. Cuddly. Yeah, that's so nice. Thanks, Jim. I know what I want. I want 100. I want 100 additional hooks from that, from everybody. I don't know. Yeah. So we've got. So we got the old pencil crayons out. The studio pencils, not very expensive pencil crayons, but hey, they do the job. They make the marks on the paper, and it's kind of what we're looking for. So, oh yeah, rolling up the sleeves. That's when you know he means the business. Yeah, it's what would I want 100 more of? I don't know. See, I'm going to say something really. I'm kind of a ridiculous person, so in the sense that we're pretty happy, and we're pretty good with the material stuff in our lives. Like, I've never really been all motivated by material. I got to have the great car and all the stuff. So for me, I'm kind of interested in those that are around me more so than myself, because you have no more control of anything in this world than the ability to have some degree of control for yourself. Okay? That's lame, Chris. I know. But so I would wish for, so I can control positives and negatives in my life to the best of my ability. My choices that I make, or how I respond to the choices made around me. But I would like to see those that I care about, and that's family and friends, to have, let's take 100 magical opportunities for things that they're pursuing to work out in their lives, and spread the love. See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being that guy. What would you like 100 of? Jelly beans? No, I'd like 100 happy opportunities for the people around me. I'm sorry. So, all right. And the reason I say that is life is, life can really be tough, and life can kind of suck. So and we all go through whatever we go through, but if I can present an opportunity for someone to get clear of or to work their way through hardship, and I think that's all I can do. Now, saying that, addendum time. One of my favorite bits that Steve Martin has ever been involved in was many, many years ago. He was on Saturday Night Live on the Christmas episode, and he comes out the darkly lit stage with a spot specifically on him, and he comes out and he says, "At this time of year, if I could just have one wish, it'd be for peace and happiness, and peace and happiness for everyone on earth." And then, no, let me correct that. That's not specific enough. And he says, "I would like all the little children of the world to be happy and to feel fulfilled." And I love the kids. The kids are great, but I'd also I'd wish for $1 million. Let's be honest, right? If I had $1 million, I could make all those things happen. Okay, so let me change this. Okay, so I want $1 million so I can make peace and happiness on earth. The thing with the kids, and it just goes on and on and on. It has less and less of that, I think, intended noble intention when he walked on the stage. I always thought that was funny. I mean, who wouldn't like $1 million? But at the end of the day, it's only $1 million. I've never had $1 million. I don't know that in my lifetime I've had $1 million in total, but I would still say that there's other things that I'm kind of interested in. I'm missing a bunch of things. Oh, hey, thanks. I'm glad you like that, Jim. But was it the first answer or was it the Steve Martin answer? Because I'm going to stick with the first one. Happy century mark, Christopher. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, good interview last night, Gary. That's awesome. Please, if you get a chance, folks, check out Gary's. Gary was here on Tuesday. We were chatting about his book, and then Gary was chatting last night on the Artcasters. So, the guy gets around, you know what I mean? No, there's a lot of people that are excited in talking about his book. His latest book. It's one thing when you do one project. It's another thing when you've done a second project. But when you hit the mark on that third project, you're like, okay, now I'm a guy who I do a thing. Part-time dentist. I've cleaned 3 fillings, Paul, after you went 100, you're almost as old as me now. Thank you, Yoda. No, thanks, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul Pate. Today's story is, that was Reamer that suggested that. Reamer or Reimer? And if it's Reimer, I apologize. If it's Reamer, I apologize for saying the wrong one. But so I'm drawing a dollhouse. So I'm going for that traditional Victorian whatnot. So Gary says I'm developing a Cub Scout body of work. Nice. If those of you out there, if you're watching this and you've ever had a problem with Scouts of America or scouting in general, you definitely want to pick up Gary's book, because he has a scene in one of those books that'll just give you pause. Also, I'm waiting for more romance, but we'll see. Not scout romance. I want a Romeo and Juliet situation going on with some of the characters in the title. I'm just saying it could happen. Little Montague Capulet action there, you know, a little bit of I bite my thumb at thee, huh? Little sword fights in a courtyard type of deal, you know, it's a little bit of you know. Young love, huh? Young love. Making a mess out of all kinds of familial and political situations as long as time is. Okay, yeah. I'm missing a bunch of stuff. I'm sorry. Jim is laughing at me. Thanks, Jim. I don't know what I said. It comes in and it comes out and it's gone. Question of the day is, this is Jim's question he asked earlier. What would you like 100 more of? And this is, what are some other things that you wish you had 100 of from earlier? This is the question that he's asked today. Paul would like 100 more romances. Oh my goodness, Paul. Huh? Yeah, that belt's going to fall off. You keep making that many little marks in it. Joshua Kimball says, happy 100. I'm not that old. Yeah. Gary, $1 million bills or years. What about the kids? Yeah. Feed the kids. Yeah, 100. Okay, 1 million years. You would want 1 million years. I love that. That's exciting. It's very exciting. I think you. I have to wonder. There's a fun story that Neil Gaiman wrote in one of his series about a character called Hob Golding. Now, Hob Golding makes an accord with two entities that represent aspects of the universe: dream, or imagination, right? And his sister, death. And he makes an accord. He has not experienced enough of this world, and he would do so. So the accord that he makes with Dream is that he doesn't want to die. He wants to continue living as he is. And so they'll meet back in 100 years and talk about it. And so Gob Halding, this character, every 100 years they meet at this tavern, this location of a tavern. And unlike in North America, in Europe, many of these taverns that have existed for 400 or 500 years, some of these buildings. So, and they touch base and talk about, well, how was it? You know, are you done? Have you had enough of this? Right? So he makes it through the plague and he makes it through. It's a really exciting thing, but 1 million years, it's a long time. Paul Wilt Chamberlain Pate. Oh my goodness. No, not for me. I was asking. I'm focused, man. Focused. Nice. Yeah. There's all kinds of opportunity. There's it'd be nice to see 100 people having romances, that's for sure. Well, I wouldn't want to watch their romance. You know what I mean. But it's I always like to hear about I told Lori if I could figure out, you know, cloning. There's so many people that I'm very spoiled by my partner. I'm sure I've got a pretty wonderful partner. And, you know, it's not fair to everybody else. You know, but even a silly statement like that, I don't want to clone my wife. I'm not my wife. Besides, the balance you get with somebody else is the balance that you get with somebody else. It doesn't mean it's going to transfer. All right, so I'm just putting an apex on to this roof. I know. Chris, get a ruler out. What is wrong with you? I don't have any sense. That's what it is. So the first thing I'm doing is drawing an angle shot of the dollhouse. And my intention here is by drawing this image, this focused image on a room on the dollhouse and having haunted dollhouse right here for the text is just a sort of tight focus. Here's the context of our narrative, right? That's my intention. So I'm just trying to get all of the basics in here. for the structure, and then we'll go from there. Paul has a crush on a girl from his work for his son because he wants his son to marry her. Yeah, I understand that. That one would be great for marrying this one, you know. That one would be great to marry so-and-so. Everybody does that, right? But it still, like I said, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to work.
Way to poo-poo an idea, Chris. Thanks a lot, guy.
All right. So I'm putting in the repetitive pattern of shingling hanging down on the front face of this building. And it works in the same regard as shingles on a roof work, in that they work in opposite from one another, from the one directly above it, so that the water flows evenly off of that. See, that's the thing I try to do when I'm drawing, is I think about how does this work? If you think about how it works, it gives you a better sense of how to draw it. Why has no one said 100 more tacos yet? Why? I don't know. Tacos? Yeah, I think that people are banking on larger value there, more permanent value. Gary says, here's his question for the day. Everybody's welcome to throw questions out today. Today's the day of questions. We can have 100 of them, and then I cut them off. Here's my question for the day. You have a time machine. It will only go forward, and it's a one-way trip. You won't know what the future looks like until you get there. How far do you go? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. It's a proof, right? 5 minutes. That's it. Right here, live on the stream, 5 minutes. And that's it. And the reason that I would restrain it to 5 minutes is it's be mindful of the future, young Padawans, but live in the present. I don't want to, 5 minutes so that you can see that it works. Good for you. Let's get it in production and try to, limit its exposure to household insects. And, maybe it changes the way that the world operates. New form of transportation. I don't know what, but I don't have any place I want to go. I'm pretty keen in here, and I don't want to miss stuff. Paul says the problem is these days the kids don't have any game. I don't know. Kids got game. I've taught all my kids to walk up to a girl and or a boy, and put their hand on the shoulder and say, "It's up." Nope. No, that was a movie. That was, I think that was a Spider-Man film. Paul says, okay, I want 100 of Gary's time machine, each one full of tacos. Oh, no. Now Paul is thinking. Paul is thinking here. There we go. Gary says, put Chris down for 5 minutes. Get on your clipboard. Write it down. What kind of tires do you have in your time machine? This will inform my answer. I think this is the thinking here is based in that Paul just always secretly wanted to own a DeLorean, or a whole bunch of them, like the dictator there. Yeah, Paul wants 100 time machines. I want 5 minutes just to show you that it works. And then there we go. Jim would go 856 years into the future. You can't take anything or anybody with you is the rule I'm operating on. Right? You can't take anybody or anything with you.
Well, what about my iPad?
Leave your iPad. Leave such sorcerous ways behind you. That was in my consideration. I had thought that nothing nothing was viable to come with. So just a greater sense of finality. Gary says, smart not to go 855. Don't even ask about 855 years in the future. Jim says, I would go 5 seconds in the future. Wait, here I am. Oh, proof positive, Gary. Sell properties. Huh? Sell as much as you can of this product. You're going to make at least $20, at least. I don't want to get you overexcited about it, but you could make at least $20. And with that, jelly beans. Everybody gonna get jello. Oh, Gary's jelly beans. I've already taken Gary's time at Gary's machine, and here I am. You guys are just confusing yourselves now. You're wasting it. You're wasting it. You see, I probably lamed up my answer with 5 minutes. I'm only going to go 5 minutes because I got to get my lawn mowed today, and nobody else is going to do it. Good thinking, Chris. I'm using these testimonials in my Kickstarter. Hi, Penny. Penny, there's questions today because it's my 100th streaming episode of Everybody Wants to Listen to My Podcast this year. Jim Luhan has put forward a question, and that question is, what would you like 100 more of? So feel free to, if you've got something that you would like 100 more of, Penny, to let everybody know. And Gary has offered a time machine. Jim was hoping somebody would have said tacos. I gave a pretty sappy answer, and Paul would like 100 of Gary's time machines full of tacos. So that's not we don't have a deep well of things to consider from here. So some deep thought into this. I would like 100 mint copies to sell of the premiere album of New Edition. Signed, autographed and signed by all of the talent that's in there. So I can sell on the black, record market that's going on, the black market there. There are all these trendy hipsters that are all about vinyl right now. I could get them all autographed. I know people. But that's a collectible that's not just for anyone. So those lyrics are filthy. All right, so there's our tight shot on the Victorian house's front window and dormer, and I'm going to build up the. Use your words, Chris. I'm going to build up the shingles. Holy moly, the shingles for the building as well. Read over the posted good stuff. There we go. So, yeah. So now I'm just going to do some of that, the shingle roof that is coming down. And so the intention of this image is to serve as a place for the introduction of our story, our narrative, and the title as well. So, and I like the idea of having a static image sometimes in certain types of story. If you put a static image in there that, in this case, Haunted Dollhouse, and you root that into something that's connected to your narrative. I think that there's something fun to be said for that. So, so I'm going to put the other window in here and run. I might look out. I'm going to use a ruler. Don't be afraid. Yeah. So Penny, if you have a thought about what you would like 100 more of. There's 100 million. I can't remember. 100. Whew. All right. Trying to think here. Little dots here. Oh, what are the dots all about, Chris? Boy, am I glad you've asked. This way I can draw in the siding on this is part of the parapet on the building, and then this piece of roof cuts down into it, so I get to put the proper shingles on this in a second. But by running all the siding that's down here into the image helps to, it's not just about, it's the house. We're drawing a house. We're not just drawing a window. Yeah. Okay. And so the lines that I'm putting in now is for the shadow. There's a shadow. So I'm putting this all in this random green color, but I'm going to add more color value on top of this in order to build up the household, to build up the chromatic balance of the image. Using a ruler. So at the start of the stream, for anybody that missed it, I outlined some of the things that are coming up over the next week. So if I will be around next week, I will be doing for a couple of days, we'll be doing what we do regularly. And then for a few days, because I'll be on an adventure in Toronto, I'll be visiting an art store and talking about that, looking at some of the big tall buildings and talking about that, and trying to inform and entertain. And then I'll be working in my hotel room as well. But I've got other stuff to do as well. And our productivity changes when we're on the move, unless you're regularly used to being on the move. But what am I missing? Oh, thank you. That's very nice. Okay, thank you very much. Watch Patron explaining as you go is great. Excellent. Good. Glad you're having fun. Okay, I'm going to switch colors to the orange now, just as a base color here for the shingles. So I'm got a ruler and I'm making shorter work of it for myself by getting that spacing already set now, so that I can just go through here and square and line it up, and off I go. Give some sort of semblance to consistency of the roof line. Right. Yeah. And I'll show you a little squiddly do in a second for making some sense of the shingles, of differentiating those, and the texture. I'll show you a different little texture thing from the shake shingles that are on the sides of the building, like you see here. If you don't have a ruler like this and you're drawing comics, I highly recommend you get one if you're drawing traditionally. I've never seen something so resource proving as this for having a surety that all of the lines that I'm putting in are square. So everybody liked this video. I do believe it helps. Thanks, Jim. That's nice of you. Apparently, I was learning a little bit about the YouTube, and apparently, if you make comments on things, even if they're positive or negative, apparently that helps. I didn't know that until recently. I didn't know that you could make a comment on somebody's video and say, "I hate this, and you're full of baloney, and you should stop doing the things that you are doing," and they benefit from that. So, yeah, save your vitriol. It's pointless. It ain't doing you any good, and it might be doing them some. That's why I stopped writing hate mail to my Prime Minister of Canada. Can't read. I don't know. Maybe he can. I don't know. He's very litigious. You know what I mean? Little temper tantrum action going on with that one. Yeah. All right. So there's our shingles for our roof. I just want to make sure I'm not missing stuff. So I put it down in two different values. I've got the light green for the dormer here and the trim, and then I've got this primarily in orange for the shingles. And so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going in and giving them a little bit more shape, and doing the same thing as I've been doing with the wooden shingles, is that you have to remember to space them like so. It's not too different from spacing bricks on a brick wall when you're drawing a brick wall. Gary, I'm going to talk about you for a second. Gary was talking last night on this interview we had last night on Artcasters about the repetitive necessitation of drawing a woman with a plaid jacket and trying to draw the plaid jacket so it's got some degree of representation where it shows a consistency of the folds and the fabric on that, so it's not just a flat static plaid pattern. And I have no problem with two people working on doing a plaid pattern and laying it down flat, or any other kind of pattern for that sake. Some brilliant artists have utilized that, and with highly successful images. So decrying those isn't for me. But Gary was talking about how frustrating it was to have to draw all of that plaid, and it makes sense. But sometimes it helps you. Sometimes it's good for you to get to it. It depends on how, sometimes some of us are a little more critical than others about the marks that we're making, and that's completely justifiable. If you're really willy-nilly and not overly concerned about the quality of your patterns and on being used in your work, then drawing it doesn't seem like such a big deal. But for other people, they very specifically want it to look a certain way, and I completely get that. My building's tilted a little bit here. My thing's not perfect, so well, you're at Siri. It doesn't work. I don't have that. Me saying it out loud doesn't make anything happen. I don't have that. I think that the more that you can teach yourself skills and have those develop said skills on your own, without the necessity of using it through a device. And there's nothing wrong with using it through a device. I think that's something that you can utilize more readily outside of working on through a specific tool, right? And so I've learned at this point to draw chain link fences, and brick walls and paisley pattern and shingles and whatever other silly nonsense. And it's worked out for me, that, but at the same time, there's a great benefit to be had for, if I were to have put these shingles down and paid more attention instead of just blathering on, I would have realized that I didn't have these tilting on a perspective like I would have wanted to. But, does it do the job? Because the job isn't perfect drawings. The job is storytelling. See, my spacing was off there. Is it going to let me erase that? No. Penny is off to run an errand. See you soon. See you soon, Penny. Have a great day. Thanks for stopping in. All right, so there's the basic breakdowns of it. And I've got these basic lines in. So I've got the orange, the compositions put in the certain areas with the orange and certain areas with this olive green. So as I'm moving on from here, if I've got the opportunity to use now other values, it's funny, when I look at pencils like this, my brain just goes off in this sort of fugue state of just calculating combinations of colors in my head. It's a little bit crazy. A little bit crazy. So this one, you come with me. All right. So there's the three that I've chosen. They've got a little rounded tip on them, but I'm just gonna tighten up my point on these suckers. So the question of the day for anybody that's joined us is, if you could, what would you have 100 more of? In honor of this being the 100th opportunity this year I've had to blather at you. Well, this is my opinion on everything. I'm right. I don't know. Paul says that drawing is 100% awesome. Ooh, thanks, Paul. I like math. Okay, so I've got some different greens here. And I'm just going to build up some of these values here and throw those down. We'll see how this goes. See, this isn't by any means deep enough as I wanted. Frank quietly stopped in really briefly just before the stream started to say that he is working on a new short story comic, which is very exciting. And so I'm looking forward to that. Anybody that hasn't seen any of Frank's comic work, take a peek, because I like that guy. Salazar Art Nation is what he works under. So I've got a deeper green that I'm using here, and to put in the vinyl siding that is for this parapet that's on the side of the house. And so when I do another shot of the larger image of the house, you'll see more of that. But in the interim, I'm just going to develop this primary image so that I can overlay. I'm drawing this so that I can cover it up, which is a little bit counterintuitive, but this is a place that fits in a narrative context, so I can put the text over top of it. Haunted dollhouse, and it's a picture of a dollhouse. And so immediately, depending upon the reader, hopefully, identifiably, they're going to have crafted inside their own noggin some sort of association of, oh, scrutinizing this. What's this? What happens in this window? What happens in, like immediately off the bat, just because you've already said it's haunted, so they'll look for a ghost or something. Or ideally, it's going to give us something like that, some sort of visceral response in our viewer. That's my hope. That's, because at the end of the day, same thing I say a million times over. My colloquialisms aren't as good as Dee Dee has one that's inspiration or is 100% comes 100% from your butt. But mine is it's all about storytelling. It's, at the end of the day, this is about storytelling. It's not about all the other nonsense, all the other preciousness. This is about making the picture that somebody's going to get something from. So the green that I'm using here is the same green that I'm putting into the shadows over here, and I'm throwing it this way specifically because of the cast shadow from the dormer here. So, and for it to continue with this base shadow tone. So, and then I'm going to have the shadow lip over and under. I'm sorry, I guess around and under the dormer to give it some form. And then I've got this color that I've picked out here, who is a very sharp green for those emphasis points. If you're doing your shadows, everybody does their shadows a different way. With all of this green, I'm going to be putting some orange in there to flatten that. Jim says 100. Yeah, so again, if anybody's here that hasn't chimed in yet, what would you like 100 more of? Or what would you like 100 of? How about instead of more? 100 of? Soup. 100 soup. Yeah. Is that okay? Red. Not an orange, a red. I want to put some red bits and bobs inside the green area. So, but I need this guy for like a base color on the vinyl. And if I don't color the window and the casing around it, but I do all of the other surface around it in this dormer, it should make the window pop out. And emphasis that. Okay? Okay. This is one of those instances when you're drawing something, think about the actual thing. Think about your own life experiences. If you've ever been on a roof and looked around at what makes up a roof, or if you ever worked on a roof, think about how those different structural pieces assemble together, like flashing, that you put flashing up in places to redirect the flow of water that comes down on your roof from the rain, or a really big person above your house with a giant bucket, All right, so I'm getting some of that. And then I'm going to put the base green in the side here as well. Now, I've left a really small white, the lip of a window that's on the side of that unit. So hopefully that is going to present me with an opportunity to push that little. I'll clean that up in a second. Push that white up a little bit. A little bit. No. Pencil crayons are fun to draw with. Pencil crayons are fun to color things with. But there's a different, I like to draw with the color erase pencils as I do, because there's a different sense of surface movement with your mark making tool when you're using a pencil crayon as opposed to a regular old pencil. It's just something about, there's more of a softness in pencil crayons. Now, that's some cases it's different. Some pencil crayons are really hard. Some pencil crayons are, boy oh boy, they are soft as all get out. But naturally, generally, they're a softer mark making tool than the old standard pencil. To BHB, B, whatever the listing of it is. All right, I'm gonna take my glasses off because my eyes are starting to get sore because the drawing surface is X distance away from me, and I have bifocals, transition bifocals, and so it's good at this. It's good as all the way over there. At 2 feet, 2.5 feet, starts making the old noggin sore. So I'm going back into one of these cases. These cases are interesting to me because they are broken down by a value system. So there is this sort of range of tones that goes through those. I find pretty interesting. You know, I think it's a neat way to sort them out that way. But they're very soft. They're a very soft pencil. So I feel that the price is great because I already need to go and replace 2 boxes because you can see how small some of those pencils are already getting, and I have not drawn very much with them. But I enjoy these pencils very much. Okay, so right now I'm going to go into the shingles, and I'm going to start putting in some little emphasis points on the different shingles to give a little bit of variation on these shingles that are hanging down along the roof. And you'll notice that if it is like a wood shingle, if it is or a slate shingle or some sort of old material that's not one of these, you know, modern shingles that we use now, there's all this wonderful variation that moves through of color of older material shingles. For some reason, I'm thinking asphalt when I think of contemporary black shingles or any of these artificial composite ones. So this gives a little bit of life and energy to that rooftop and makes it maybe feel a little closer to reality. What an exciting thing to draw for your 100th. Everybody wants to listen to my podcast. Christopher, why don't you draw a dormer and a roof of a dollhouse? Okay, I will. Big weekend coming up. Lots of things going on. Busy in a tizzy. There's no specific pattern that I'm doing here other than to try to start from one of the seams. And making sure I don't lose those as I move through the page. Just to give them a little more juice to hold on to the marks that I need to associate those. Sometimes you're too subtle in your subtlety. With your mark making, you'll cover up your sort of guiding structural principle of what it is that you're drawing, which can be really good. I mean, abstractly, it can really afford you to break out of a standard way of approaching. You've already rough drawn it out. You have a sense of it in your head about the structure of the thing. But if you go over your structural notes, and hopefully you can still be aware of that structure, but by working off that grid, you're going to have a lot more fun and a lot more interesting chaotic things happening in there than you would have before. Little differentiations in perspective, or some fun ham hock lines. Your bricks aren't all straight and perfect and evenly spaced out. There's all kinds of different things that can come out of opportunities like that. And those are fun. That's how we make the donuts. Question of the day: what would you like to have 100 of? The question is asked by Mr. Jim Lujan in honor of it being the 100th Everybody Wants to Listen to My Podcast stream. I change it each year. Last year was Nobody Wants to Listen to My Podcast. This one's Everybody Wants to Listen to My Podcast. Next year, what could it be? Chris is the Ronnie James Dio of comics. I think we can all agree on that. Oh, no. I actually don't like Ronnie James Dio. That was the end of Sabbath. The wolves are marching in the places and the things. Yeah, no, not for me. Ronnie James Dio of comics. What does that even mean? Was he very proliferant? Like, or is he all about fun stories? Just for those that might not know, Jim's called me a number of things of comics at this point. I think that I've been called the Bob Ross of comics by Jim. I think I got a little Fred Rogers in there. I got I'm not sure if you called me Mr. When I was talking about Mr. Dress Up, if you said, that's you. I think you did, but it's just because I got a tickle trunk. So with the different value here for the brown going in on these shingles starting to give this sort of fun diversity, but structure and form here. Right? Paul says, smile, Chris. How was that? Why are you asking, Paul? You're focused, Paul. All right, so this is coming together. I'm going to add another value in a second. Chris is the Corey Hart of comics. Oh, you're just hitting them all, aren't you? My wife really likes Corey Hart. Sometimes she plays it in the van.
Oh, Corey Hart again?
And I tell her, I'm never going to like that guy. I'm never going to surrender on that. I'll never surrender. If she turns on my music to play it, I tell her, listen, just a little more time is all I'm asking for to play what I was listening to. All these references are probably for one person out there in the world, but all right, so there's that. So that's this more red-brown here. And so I've come in with this darker one to, like I said earlier, get these emphasis separations on the shingles. And we're going to make these a little less a little more imperfect, right? Putting in some of the separations on the shingles a little more clearly, just to give it a little more tooth. If anybody's, so now it's, we're bringing it back to looking more like a shingle and not just like some sort of crazy abstract light field pattern. Now, again, ideally I should have put this in more of a perspective on working on the angle of the roof, but we're going to call that creative differences. I don't know. Does Corey Hart remind you of David Duchovny? I've always thought so. They do kind of look alike. But Corey Hart is very French to me. And David Duchovny is, I don't know his if he's ethnically French related or not. But you are right in the fact that they do look similar. There's all these fun and interesting similarities in Hollyweird. Like I don't know if you get a chance to see any footage of Jack Nicholson and Leonardo DiCaprio at basketball games, but I can tell you what Leonardo DiCaprio is going to look like at 70. Very, very clearly Jack Nicholson. And that's not half bad. So it's coming slowly and surely. It's just I tend to find that with pencil crayons, I'm building up values, and so I like to sneak in other values and just sort of embed them into an area. So like I'm going to put a deep blue in here in a few moments, and then up here in this area where the shadow is, again I'm going to carry over that another primary color that moves through the image, and it's just to sort of connect this space with this space, right? Now there's all kinds of color theory that people have started. There's all kinds of the right way and the wrong way. I don't believe in the right way and the wrong way. I just don't. But if there's one thing I learned from David Duchovny Hart, it's that sometimes you just gotta feel out what you're doing and find the thing that hey, this is a way I'm comfortable in working. Everybody doing something a right way, or everybody expecting that this is how a thing should be done, does not lead to unique and individual creativity. It just leads to this is the way a thing is to do. And that is not as fun. Not to me anyways. Now other people are going to, there's a way to do things. This is how it works. Well, that works for you. There's a great debate when I was in school about somebody drawing with string. It was just to draw a self-portrait of yourself, and somebody I knew drew it with string. And he put the string down on a surface. It's not like just a wad of string hanging from a ceiling, but no, that's not drawing. Pick up a pencil. And, he'd sort of drawn out those lines with the string. So on one level, I'm like, what are you talking about? It works as a drawing. But on another level, there's also lots of postmodernist art that'll tape two sticks on the wall and call it a drawing. So, everything has its own sense of something. So the more and more I put colors down, the more and more hopefully it's building up the image. And I really haven't come at it with a big diverse range of colors. this is the extent of what I've used here. And it's a conscious choice along the way of whether or not we're adding more chromatic selection to what it is that we're drawing. But with a limited field of values, you can still get an awful lot of form and dimension in an image. So again, there's no rules. So here's a couple of emphasis points on the shingles, the wooden shake shingles that are painted green on the side of this house, just to see if that enhances the structure of it a little bit. Keeping it fun, keep it classy and sassy. Does anybody have any grand plans for this weekend? Anybody going anywhere to do some outside drawing or work on a project that you're on, or if you got a contract from a client that you got to get done? Is there anybody that's going to go and work in a space other than their usual? I'm always curious about that sort of thing. There's a fella whose videos I think are really interesting. He's called Rich is Funny. I think he's on Instagram. And he dresses in these garish get-ups. And wherever he is dancing like an absolute maniac. And he's got to be around my age, if not a couple of years off that. But they're brilliantly funny to watch because the people around him have no idea what's wrong with this guy and why he's doing that in front of me. Paul says, I'm drawing your picture tomorrow on my stream, Chris. You're drawing my picture? What do you, oh my goodness. I'm interested in what that means. My picture. I have my table mates for the Phoenix Con coming to stay with us next week. So starting to tidy up the house is the weekend plan. That's cool, Gary. That's cool. It's are these friends of yours that you're sharing a table with? Or is this people that you've come to know because you found out you're going to be in proximity to one another? Or I would think it's more the former than the latter, but who knows? Maybe some people make friends and follow through with those friends over time. So that those friendships become closer, and before you know it, hey, friends and fellow, it's the Making Comics guys, Scott Lost and Keith Foster. They're friends and fellow indies. That's cool. That's really cool. What do you mean you're drawing a picture of my picture tomorrow on your stream, Mr. Pate? I'm not sure what that means. Oh my, drawing a portrait of me. Do you need me to pose for you for your photo? How's this? Pause that for a while. Did you get it? Did you get the picture? Okay. I can do this all day. That's gold right there, huh? You got all kinds of things you can use out of that. Just gonna keep doing it. Try to get my jowls in there. I try to really get my jowls in there if I can. And the more saggy bags under my eyes, the better. Great, you get the correct shade of lip gloss. That's very nice of you, Paul. That's an interesting idea. I'm not sure what you're going to do with it, Paul. Oh, boy. Am I going to be the kingpin of crime in the latest book that you're doing? Listen, kids. This is my city. So now I've pulled a blue out. It's kind of a cobalt blue. We're still in this cool color range, but throwing that blue in to heighten some of the shadows and emphasis points is going to still keep it cool. Keeping it cool, keeping it sassy. And then when you take a blue, like a cobalt, and you take a brown, like let's say an umber, and have those two different values in the same area, whether it's a line or a solid space, it makes a really nice charcoal. So rather than using a black pencil crayon, try that out. You get some interesting variations on your lines and the depth of them. So my window here is coming along. Gary, are you at the Phoenix Con next weekend? I think you said that. So, or is it during the week? Do you want to let people know about your Phoenix Con setup, or for anybody that might live in that part of the States that might want to attend? If you're down in Arizona, the place where the 70s survived. Actually, no, I don't know that. I'm just being silly. So, you're going to be selling copies of your new book there. That's exciting. Are you going to have prints and posters and stuff for your setup at this con? Well, you're already sharing a table with somebody. So it's June 2nd to 4th in Phoenix, Arizona, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're down that way and want to check out Gary's table and get copies of his books, you want him to do a personal autograph and personal drawing, just walk up to that table and push everything off and say, "Do me a big picture," or don't. Just you gotta be careful what I say that too. There's lots of interesting characters. I'll be selling all 3 issues of D versus M and have sticker pads for people who buy a complete collection. Ooh, that's cool. That's super cool. People like the extras. And the thing about, like, I always find that sometimes when you've got independent creators, they'll have fantastic extras for their book, and their books aren't very good. This is the opposite situation of that with Gary. His books are very good. And you get a sticker pad. It's a good series. Here's something for the back of your book, Gary. D versus M. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll never look at syringes the same way again. All right, so now I'm going to get really cheeky here. I'm going to start bringing that red in. Jim Llewellyn says D versus M is life. If you get all 3 books, you have a serious weekend of reading ahead. Any long form book, any series, any block of comics is fantastic for diuretics. And people that like to sit in normal chairs and read too. Gary, you can't find my copy of 1975. Is there some kind of tracker on it? Paul says, Gary, can you draw me a picture of Barney? Then a Men in Black lift your book, Jim. That's not good. Okay, so I'm putting some red in this shadow in the awning of the dormer to push that value a little bit here. So that red is going to change how we relate this area now. Just a little bit. I'll come through with this deep brown and pick up some more of these emphasis points as we move down here. Another thing I'll do is it'll come in with a white overlay and put little hits in order to bring up certain emphasis points here as well. Jim, you told me Ruben is your favorite character. Is it under your mattress or something? Oh, for God's sakes. Because he likes reading it every night, folks. I want to get all 3 shoes and roll around on the floor with them. That is Siri. I believe Jim says he wants to get all 3 issues. Now, don't read your comics in the shower. It's an important lesson we're all learning. Paul Pate went 5 minutes into the future and took Jim's copy of 1975. I hope in your 100 time machines full of tacos that you left Jim some tacos in exchange. This just in, a man today was robbed at his home of one of 3 comics of a series that he was looking to sit down and read all at once. When questioned, the man said, I don't know what happened. I went in the shower, I came out, and there's this big pile of tacos, and one of my books was missing. Police are looking for any information that the general public can provide, and we'll follow up on this story at 11 o'clock. That's interesting. That'd be an interesting news show to watch. Sally Jenkins has opened a cheese shop. I don't know if anybody has this anywhere near where they are. Maybe it's a Canadian thing. But there's a place in the town called Mapleton that we drive between Elmer and London, like between ourselves and our friend's house, who live out in a smaller town in the country. And Mapleton has a taxidermy and cheese shop. Has anyone ever heard of anything like that? Okay, Paul, that means you found it. Where was it? Future me is invisible, of course. Okay, fine. I don't really understand time travel. Well, we told you 5 minutes ago. Oh, wait, no, that was future. You're coming back for us to tell them. You'll get it 10 minutes from now. Time travel. All the kids are doing it. Hey, Timmy. Geez, mister, you scared me. Timmy, do you want to find out about time travel? Huh? Just sit down, Timmy, and listen up. That'd be a show I'd watch. You mean I can go back in time and ground my parents? That's right, Timmy. Also, take care of that pesky business with you-know-who in Germany in 1937. That sounds swell. That'd be a great show. It sounds like I'm cracking up today. It's 100 streams. You can't expect me to be completely balanced after that much jibber jabber. All right. So the red that I pulled out, I'm going to put a little bit of that kicking in here through the tiles. Just little hints, little bits and bobs. It's weird being a bob. Just those, because of how the red and the green work together, and the fact that the brown is a tertiary and more neutral to the two, but clearly leaning towards the red. It just sort of, it's like a tying color between the green and the red. But I mean, I started building this composition up not actually with red, but with like an orange. So in the red family. So we could also, because of that orange, and if we bring up that as an emphasis color, we can look at the opposite side of the old wheel of color and say, gonna give me some purple in there. Purple in there. Future Invisible Paul. It's a, if you're still here, what's your favorite purple? Anybody gets an opportunity, go on Instagram and look up Paul Pate and take a look at his panels that he's been posting of his third volume, another third volume guy, of his Detective Perez series. Also, Gary, if you're still here, I'm not sure if you were aware of this, but somebody said that yesterday, and this is a good thing to bank on too, is that the thing about Gary's DBSM books is that they're thick. I don't know if that's a marketable thing for you there, but some people want to get down with the thick books to read. That's my understanding of that song. So, well, So I'm sorry if this is sort of taking a long time to go back in and bring up these values, but this time it works for me. So Jim says, I'm going to go back in time and have a talk with your parents when they first met. With my parents? Good luck. That's going to be great. Enjoy that. It's going to be a fun time. It'll be a fun time for all the kids in the sun, huh? Preferably do it when I'm a 5-year-old sitting in the back garden of our property, eating all the beets and terrifying my mother, thinking that something is seriously bad happened to me. Go to that time period, and that's when you should visit them. I want to talk to you about your son. Oh, my baby! Oh, my precious little nectarine. She didn't call me that, but it would have been nice if she did. Gary says, Paul and I both seem incapable of telling a 15-page story. Yeah, that makes sense. Why would it be 15? 16? There's a thing in North America that optimally, if you're doing a story, do this. You want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And because the comic company that we've had, and we've put out so many books, the publisher brain part of me goes right out the side of my head whenever I hear somebody say an odd number. I just cannot help it now because of having to figure out, where someone will say, here's my submission for the anthology you're doing for 4-page short stories. I said, this is 5 pages. And I know I couldn't keep it to 4. And I'm like, why? 15 pages. Brain just exploded. All right. It's not going to work. You got to come up with an even number. And me saying this, one of the 1-page stories that I did recently extended out to be a 5-page story. So I can't, I can't talk. Even I've done goofy, odd number stories. But as a rule of thumb, for most things, if you're working on stories that can be submitted to others, do try to keep it to some even number, one or another. But no, Gary and Paul, there's this true statement that both Gary and Paul have long arced stories. So I have a problem where I say, yeah, this story will be 24 pages, and on page 23, and I'm like, oh, it's going to hit 26, every time. I'll do it short. It's like, if it's 20 pages, I'm going for 22, and if I'm going for 22, I got to go for 24. It's a funny thing. It's a funny thing how that works. The base 4. Paul says, hypocrite. That's a bunch of hyperbole, that statement there. Hypocrite. Where are we at? An hour 35. So this is coming together pretty well. Couple of things that I'm going to do is in this window, just to make the window interesting, you can have solidly closed curtains, or you can have a variation on that. And especially if you're drawing buildings like in New York or something like that, don't have all the windows closed. Don't have all the windows open. Don't have all the windows with the same curtains. Shake it up. Shake it up. Largely because that diversity, there's a part of people's brains they'll be looking for that variation. I do have a few short comics, Gary, but Incapable still seems fair. For anyone, though, that has the opportunity, please check out both of their works. I'm really pleased with the stuff that they're posting to promote their materials, and Paul, I'm quite taken with your Detective Perez posts. Is it a panel a day, Paul, or X amount of panels a day that you're posting? But Paul's posting consistently on social platforms. So I'm going to come back in now that I've put these little enhancements and bits and bobs of business here on these shingles. I'm going to come back in now with this green and start kicking up some of the same sort of behavior on these shingles as is going on the roof shingles, with the weathering and differentiation of value. Just to make it a little more interesting. Here we go. I'm recessing this area underneath the bottom lip, which may well be the proper color of the shingles before they started fading in the sun. See, it's your imagination that you're going into in order to be able to tell stories. So allow your imagination to go over and imagine why the setting of your place looks the way it does, or imagine why your character has that belt buckle on his pants and belt set. Why they've got a cigarette rolled up in their sleeve, or why this trailer looks like it's sinking into the ground at the back. Whatever it is, think about those little extra bits and bobs, things and same as over here, just carrying this through. Well, I've got this value in my hand, so that so we keep that consistent, right? Right, Chris. And then we've already got this shadowed area that we put in earlier that is this matched over here. And we'll be extending that over onto this side as well with its opposing value, its opposing color. Whee! Oh, I know what I was going to do. So here's this blue. And you can see how the places that I'm putting this blue, because there's already existing browns and oranges there, it comes off more as a sort of a charcoal color, a sort of gray, as opposed to a direct blue or a direct black, right? So clearly when I'm drawing with pencil, the time frame that I work at in pencil crayon is very different than the time frame I'll work at in other medium. And yet at the same time, I find equally rewarding to spend whatever time each medium works on. You know, whatever time scale that you require for, you know, with drawing times or painting with this over that, you know, let that go. There's all of our colors so far. If anybody wants to get a peek at those, hopefully you can see the differentiation in the values there. And I can't tell you the specific names here because they're numbered. They're not named. They're numbered on these pencils. So it sure worked pretty well if you're ordering those colors as replacements from the company. But other than that, you're like, what the heck color is this? So now we're getting more depth here in this shingles. Now we're getting more dimension as we go, hopefully, by throwing this blue in where we've had emphasis put in before through the brown. I've got to put some value on the awning and on the window as well. We'll get to that in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. And the blue that I'm holding is kind of like a cobalt blue. I would suggest that other sets would call it a cobalt. So I'm going in and I'm putting a little bit of information in here into the windows. And I'm thinking about shape and form, right? How the surface of the window is. Still got to do another little line that's enhancing around the glass, right? To push and pull that plane. So yeah, all kinds of fun in the sun. What time are we at? Right now, an hour 43. We wrap it up in a couple here. But I will try to do something on Sunday night, maybe. Yeah, you know, if anybody has, anyone that's here, anyone that might be watching the stream, if anybody has any things coming up this weekend that they want to let people know about, maybe we can get people to come and take a look at whatever it is that you're streaming this weekend. One of Jim's side streams. Fish, cleaning, and you. Californian's Guide on How to Live a Marine Diet. Hopefully that's coming together. We're getting there. Slowly and surely. I told you not to call me Shirley. Oh no, that line is surely that's not true. It is true. And don't call me Shirley. That's the line. It's from Airplane, Leslie Nielsen. Zucker Brothers, one of their movies. Very funny guy. Yeah. And Gary, will you be doing a stream this weekend talking about the books going out and so on? Paul, will you be doing a Saturday morning cartoon stream? And if so, what time do you start at? And then Jim, if you've got a, hey man, how's your movie going? You gotta have fun, folks. If you're doing any kind of stream, make sure you got a fun title. Trying to think of how these colors work together here. Sometimes it helps. I don't know about you, but sometimes I go off in my imagination sometimes and I start thinking about those combinations that come together to make values. And I've got an orange underlay and I've got a yellow here. But, you know, if you close your eyes for a second and think about how can I bring up a little beefy bits on here. And as I'm thinking about that, I'm trying to imagine how that goes. And sometimes that lets you come up with the colors. And I think in this case, it made me sort of remind myself, hey, Jack, get some orange in there. Oh, I've got something I missed here. Gary says, I do intend to stream tomorrow, but I haven't decided on a topic yet, or if there'll even be one. Well, maybe if people are already sending you some accolades, because people are going to on your project, maybe perspective on the conclusion and the release of a project. Maybe that. You've probably done that before in the past, but the Gary that talked about that before in the past isn't the Gary that we know today. So maybe this Gary's got a different perspective on it. I didn't get a chance to finish the Artcasters episode last night. I'm going to go back and watch that today because here where I live, it's too late. It's very late at night. Oh, you southern east west coasters. Yeah, see that's a little more punchy with the shingles now, right? So sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to go into your imagination and think about these things. We're almost there. I'll do a little bit more on it, but I'm going to move on to the next panel. I'm just going to put that on light layer of this color here for the awning. It's very subtle sort of green. I don't know how well it's picking up in the camera, but well, Gary, I look forward to catching your program. I don't know that I'll be able to watch it directly because one of our nephews is getting married, but definitely go out of the way to try to watch that. Paul, if you're doing your Saturday morning cartoons, I might be able to catch that while I'm supposed to be getting ready. gonna get my hair cut in the morning. I'm going for a mohawk. I'll just do this window, and then we'll call that. It's fun if you have the opportunity for anybody that might be catching the stream to go and check out some of the channels or social sites of some of the people that are here in the chat. And I've absolutely zero problem with people putting that I know, putting their links on stuff and saying, hey, here's where I am. This is where I make hand puppets behind a curtain in my bedroom at home. Or whatever it is that they do. It's all art, man. So putting that the value in there, and then I'm going to put some of this yellow in here for whatever the curtains might be in the window. In the old window. There we go. So there, that's nice and clearly defined differently from surface around it. So there we go. So there's our first panel of the first shot of the haunted dollhouse. And I'm doing it, and I'm doing this dollhouse not to look like your stereotypified dilapidated building. I'm doing this dollhouse as a contemporary Victorian, Midwestern. I guess not Midwestern. I guess it's more of a colonial. I guess it'd be over in the east, like Maine in those areas. So it would be the root of where these kinds of buildings existed. So, I'm going to continue on that. And the next panel is, so I've already established the building. The next thing I need to do is establish it as a dollhouse, as an artificial building. So I'm going to do that in the very next shot. But I will post this for tomorrow. And in the interim, I'm going to click off for now. I got to get a couple things done around the house and that. But I hope that everybody has a good day. I will pop in this weekend. I know I said a lot of this yesterday because I was confused as to what day it was, just because I had one of those weeks. But I will try to pop in this weekend, probably Sunday, and connect with people then. But and if I don't catch you, I'll be back on Monday at 2:00, or stopping in to try to visit everybody else on any streams or anything they do whenever I get an opportunity. In the meantime, keep working. I look forward to seeing whatever it is. Thank you very much to everybody that's been so supportive in this first 100 streams this year. This year, I decided this is part of how I'm going to schedule every day, and I appreciate the response to it, and the fact that people are throwing ideas out for one-page ideas. Please know that you're always welcome to throw more one-page comic ideas to me. I love them. I love the interaction. It's a lot of fun. Try it yourself. Have some fun. Give it a go. But in the greater scheme of things, I really appreciate everybody coming by and engaging and having fun with one another. And I look forward to doing 100 more. Let's do that. Oh, Rachel's just made it in to say hi and bye. Thanks, Rach. Check out Rachel's work as well, please. And thank you very much. All right. In the meantime, I'm going to say goodbye for today. And like I said, if I don't catch you this weekend, I'll see you Monday at 2. Have yourself a great day and have some great creating. Bye for now.